Right, this is the second nunchuck technique video, so the third video total in chapter 1. Right, make sure that you watch the safety and considerations video first. Also, probably makes most sense to also watch the 5 basic shoulder passes before moving on to this video. So last video, we worked on the shoulder passes, which were a very sagittal plane trick, right? Up, down, front, and back. This time, they're going to be mostly transverse plane, right? So kind of like the floor or ceiling. Still going to start in ready position. I guess you don't have to. But first of all, I want you to lift your opposite side arm so that you have all of this area for now exposed. You can also just bend it at the elbow, is fine for now, or put it over on the shoulder. We're going to drop the nunchucks out of the armpit, cross to the opposite side, and get used to this beating motion here. So I call this a beat. That's not to say that you should actually be nailing yourself super hard with the nunchucks. And the way that we're going to make sure that happens is by just careful placement of the chain. So as we cross to the opposite side, when you beat, try to more or less evenly split the chain around your hip. If you underswing such that you're here, then you're just whacking yourself in the hip with the nunchuck or in the side or in the rib cage or wherever. If you overswing, that can actually hurt a lot more in that, right? If you overswing, this entire big long movement arm can zip around and hit us in the back or on the other side. Okay, so try to more or less evenly split the chain on both sides as you're doing this here, right? And it's okay maybe to overswing or underswing a little, but try not to be doing that too much, okay? And I'm really just using my wrist here. My elbow has to naturally move to allow for my wrist to beat back on this side, but it's mostly just my wrist. I'm not really like making a huge big arc with my arm, right? You should be able to do this fast, basically, okay? That is the beating motion, so get used to being able to do that on both sides, right? Maybe use your shoulder passes we learned from last time. Eventually, when we are beating on, right, we beat same side, opposite side. One time, as we're beating opposite side, we are going to intentionally overswing so that the nunchuck, the free chuck, will appear out in back behind us. And now this left hand can reach around and catch. Now, before you try that, right, obviously first get used to the beating motion, but I want to point out a couple things before you try this too many times and get injured. Maybe the most important thing is that if you watch as I catch, I have thrown my thumb over the top of the nunchuck. I really just caught it by throwing my 4 fingers over, right? I'm not catching directly in a regular forward grip like this position here. Because if you try to just make a pincher with your hand and pray that the free nunchuck swings perfectly into the crook of your hand, you're probably gonna either whack your thumb or whack your fingers, okay? So keep your thumb out of the picture for this one. Just keep it flexed back here, right? Beat, opposite, same, and catch, okay? Thumb is over the top. Then as we transition into, as we let go with the initial hand, right? So eventually it should look like this. Pass and pass, right? As we let go with the initial hand, then we can, so this hand's letting go, then we can start wrapping the thumb around the nunchuck so we have a little bit more control, right? But when you're actually catching, keep it out of the picture to keep yourself free of injury, okay? Second thing, you'll notice that every time that I pass, my arms have to make a cross. And which arm is where? You can vary it up. It's possible to be doing this either way, but just the way that works best, at least for me and probably for everybody else, will be to have the hand that is currently holding the nunchucks about to give up the nunchucks be on bottom of your cross, right? So it's trapped in, this was the initial hand, it's trapped in on the inside of the cross. The reason for that is, well, you'll see, but if you had to throw a baseball to a robot or have a robot throw a baseball to you, and if you threw it perfectly to the robot, it would, with 100% reliability, catch the baseball. Or if it threw it to you, it would, with 100% reliability, shoot the baseball to the exact same place every time. You would rather have the baseball be throwing and you be catching than having to throw it perfectly to the machine. At any rate, that's kind of maybe a weird analogy, but the hand that is giving up the nunchuck will more or less reliably, since you got used to the beating motion already, more or less reliably pass the nunchuck to the same place every time. So it's okay to have that one be trapped. But in case you miss, you want the free hand, the catching hand, be able to adjust, right? So that's kind of the reasoning there, for those of you who are curious why. right? But that is the lower pass or the lumbar pass or the hip pass of the 3 back passes. So next we're going to, after we get that on both sides, make sure that we can move on to the next pass, which is going to be an over the shoulder pass, except it's behind the back, right? It's not like the shoulder passes from last video that we talked about. This one is not very hard. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, honestly, but I guess I'll show you from behind. So beat same side, cross opposite, and catch at a diagonal angle, like this here, right? Beat same side and catch, same side, catch. Not a whole lot to say there. The last one I do have a bit more to say about because that is the neck pass. And this will probably be a little bit scarier because you have something whipping around your head. And you might be like flinching away a ton. First thing, relax your shoulders again, right? We're passing around our neck. We need surface area on our neck exposed to be able to wrap the nunchuck around. If you're all hunched up and tense like this here, even if you get around this side of your neck, right, the opposite side, the free chuck is gonna, since this shoulder is up and in the way, gonna get whacked in the back of the shoulder or in the tip, bony tip of the acromia on behind, and that really hurts, okay? Right, so be same side. First of all, just wrap around your neck and get comfortable. Maybe grab it after the fact. Beat same side, wrap around your neck. Keep everything relaxed. Grab the free chuck, okay? Then move on to catching. And you'll notice that we're still in a forward grip in either case. All of these passes are all in forward grips, right? You might be wondering, why can't we just beat opposite side and come around our neck this way? Isn't that easier? Yes, it's easier, but it looks pretty dumb. Yeah. You'll notice even that you can do any of these passes the open way instead of crossing your arms in front of your body, right? Even with the, it's been a minute since I tried this one, right? Okay, I see. Beat opposite, come around this way and catch, right? Even with, so with the lower or the middle level pass or the high pass, right? The lumbar, shoulder, or scapular or neck pass, you can do it like this either way. It's just have both of your hands and behind your back. But since you have both hands behind your back and you're just kind of facing the audience like this here, it looks kind of dumb, right? So that's why I always cross my arms over my body. It's much more dynamic. It's much more full, okay? So those are the 3/6, if you count the mirrored versions, behind the back passes. I guess there's also cross pass. So maybe throw over your shoulder and then swing down and catch behind you. I don't really use this one a lot because maybe it has appeal if you use it once, but then not really again. It's kind of dumb. But yeah, that one is not going to crush your testicles if you have testicles because you're using a chain, right? And you're, again, more or less evenly splitting the chain instead of just whacking yourself straight in the crotch. Okay. So those are the behind the back passes.